Hey guys, it's me Lexi. Welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, welcome to my channel. Today's video is a little bit different from what I usually put out. This is going to be the first in my pregnancy series, I guess you could call it. As you can see from the title of this video, I am currently pregnant. I am so excited to be pregnant. This is my first pregnancy. So I am a first-time mom, and I'm just over the moon about this. My husband and I are so excited to be bringing a little bundle of joy into the world. So yes. So this is going to be my first video that I'm going to be putting out about my pregnancy. We will be kind of doing some updates throughout, the 9 months that I'm pregnant into, maybe when the baby's born. But I just want to start out with this first video of, how I found out I was pregnant, and how I told my husband I was pregnant, and, a little bit of a first trimester update. I'm only 10 weeks pregnant right now, so I am still in my first trimester, but the symptoms have kind of started to slow down, which is amazing. Thank God. I was so sick. So I'm kind of gonna share with you guys that first chunk of the first trimester, how it was for me. Let's just get into it with the how I found out I was pregnant part of the story. So my husband and I knew we wanted to start a family. We got married last June. So June 15th, 2019, we got married. Come October, we decided that we were going to start trying for a baby. We weren't expecting to get pregnant right away, but we just knew we wanted to stop preventing a child so that, when the time comes and when it was meant to be, it would happen. So we started tracking ovulation and all of that in October of 2019, so this past October, and I, was doing all the Google searches of, how to track ovulation, how to pinpoint your cycle, because if you didn't know, you can only get pregnant a couple days out of the month when you are ovulating. So I wasn't too sure about when I was ovulating and what my cycles looked like. So I started taking ovulation predictor kit tests, OPK tests. If you're familiar with pregnancy terms, we just call them OPKs, and they are a ovulation predictor test. So basically, if you've never taken one or ever seen one, they look just like pregnancy tests, but there's always the two lines that show up on the test. There's always the test line and the control line, just like a pregnancy test. But the two lines will always show up on the test, and you know that you're getting close to ovulation when the two lines are the exact same color, or if the control line is darker than the test line. So that's kind of what you're looking for throughout the month. It's usually 2 weeks after your period ended. So for me, I started taking the tests, but I realized that every single day when I was taking the test, the two lines were always showing positive. So this was a little alarming for me, which, a lot of people would be like, all right, maybe it's a faulty test. I did so many different brands and they were always coming up positive. So this meant that my hormones were always elevated, which can actually prevent you from ovulating. So we were a little worried that first couple months, October and September. I was taking the tests and they were always positive every single day for the 2 months that I was taking them. So we actually ended up going to an OBGYN and getting tested for just some stuff, trying to figure out why my hormone levels were high. So at the very end of December, we ended up getting into an OBGYN and we did a bunch of blood work and found out that I actually have PCOS, which that's a whole nother story in itself. I had no idea I had PCOS. I don't have a lot of the symptoms that a lot of people have, and I had been on birth control for almost the entire time I've ever had a period. So I was like, okay, I didn't, have irregular periods growing up or anything like that. So I had no idea that I could even have PCOS. But when you have PCOS, that does make the ovulation tests always come up with those two positive lines. So that was a little bit of a shock for us. We found out that I had a high thyroid as well, which can cause issues with pregnancy. So that was at the very end of December. We found out all of that information and it kind of took us by surprise. But the doctor was kind of setting us up with a plan on, okay, here's what we can do to help you ovulate for you to then be able to get pregnant. Because basically, from what it looked like, I was not ovulating. When you have PCOS, your periods can become very irregular and it's hard to pinpoint ovulation or see if you're even ovulating at all. So luckily for me, I did end up ovulating. So by the grace of God, I'm not sure how, a couple days after the initial doctor's appointment where we got the blood drawn, I ended up ovulating and we conceived. So we got our results back, and a couple days after that, we found out we were pregnant. So it was very surprising for us. We, at that point, thought we'd have to go down this long journey of trying to have a baby, and we didn't know what that looked like. The doctor was so close to prescribing me all these different medications to help my body ovulate. So there was already a baby in me when we would have started all those medications. So I'm just really glad I found out that I was pregnant and didn't just start taking those, because I don't know what that would have looked like for the little one. So yes, we found out we were pregnant, and I was very surprised. I took a test, but I was not expecting it to come out as positive. So kind of the story behind that, we went out to dinner one night. We went to Outback Steakhouse, which is me and Mark's, my husband's, favorite place to eat. We love Outback so much. So we went to Outback, and they gave us a free dessert because our dinner had taken a little bit to come out, which usually happens to us because I like my steak well done, no pink at all. So usually it always takes them a little bit to get that out anyway, but they did offer us a free dessert. So I ate the free dessert, and the minute I started eating it, I just felt so sick. And I was like, I'm going to throw up, which never happens to me. I'm not one to just eat something and feel nauseous or get too full and throw up. Nothing. So I was like, this is so weird. I'm gonna throw up. Mark, we have to go. So we get in the car, and he's like, can we go to Costco first? I need gas. I was like, okay, but hurry up. I'm gonna puke. So we went to Costco to get gas, and I was just the entire time like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I'm gonna throw up. This is horrible. I've never felt like this before. I was so sick. So we got home, and I didn't actually end up throwing up, but I just continued to feel that deep nausea. I was like, all right, well, I kind of have to go to the bathroom, so I'm just gonna take an ovulation test, just because. I was like, I don't know why I'm taking this, but I'm going to. And then I also just dipped a pregnancy test just to kind of see. I was not expecting it to be positive at all. So I took those tests. I literally set them down. I walked away and went back, after the 3 minutes or whatever it said, and I saw a line, and I was so surprised because we had just gone to the doctor to find out why I wasn't ovulating and to kind of start the track to getting pregnant with medication, and I got a positive pregnancy test. I was over the moon excited, but I didn't want to get too excited because it was the faintest line. I'll post a picture up here, but I am not sure how I even saw the line on the first test I took. I'll continue to just put up whatever photos I have of all the different tests I took. But finally, one of the tests was very positive. It was still, a fainter line, but it was definitely a positive and not an indent line or anything like that. So with this not being first morning pee or anything like that, I knew at that point that I was pregnant. I had FaceTimed literally all of my best friends and my sister, and I was like, guys, Mark's in the other room. He has no idea that I tested. I have no idea what's going on. I think I'm pregnant. I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant, but the doctor just told me that we would need help to get pregnant, pretty much the way that she stated it. So I was so shocked, and I was trying not to get my hopes up. And so I was trying to get their advice on, should I tell my husband? What do I do? All of them were telling me to just wait, test in the morning, see if the line gets darker, and then tell Mark. But me being me, I couldn't wait. So backtrack a little bit. Previously to trying to get pregnant, I kind of knew the way that I wanted to eventually tell Mark that we were pregnant. I got myself a t-shirt that says Mama Bear. I got the baby one that says Baby Bear, and I got him one that says Papa Bear. So I already had these shirts, so I knew that I was going to use these to tell him that we were pregnant. But I wanted to do it in a little bit of a cuter way than I did, but I was so excited in the moment that I just went for it. So I came into the bedroom and I said, hey Mark, I have a surprise for you. I had the shirt behind my back. He was playing a video game. He's like, all right, hold up, my round's almost up. And he stands up, and I'm not giving it to him. And I'm like, I don't want to give it to you, I'm nervous. He's like, what is it? I guess he thought I was giving him a new video game. Sorry, but I wasn't. I was telling you we're having a baby. But he eventually was like, just give it to me. So I was like, here, you might be needing this soon. And it was the shirt just kind of all folded up. So we opened it, and he's like, Papa Bear, what are you talking about? So I pulled out the tests. I was like, I think we're pregnant. Like, I think we did it. And at that point, he actually brought it to my attention that he kind of thought I was pregnant and was gonna have me test the next day just to kind of see. And I had no idea I was pregnant. So I was like, what are you talking about? What made you think I was pregnant? And I guess a couple days leading up to this, I'd been complaining that my boobs were hurting and having sharp pain in my boobs. He knew that that was a sign of pregnancy, and that never happens to me. My boobs are never sore. And so he was like, hey, I was gonna tell you that you should test in the morning anyway. So he kind of had a little bit of an idea that I was pregnant. I don't know how he picked up on that. I didn't, probably because I was under the impression that, we were about to, have medical help to get pregnant. So once we both kind of calmed down, it took me a little bit to kind of like, let it sink in, like, oh my gosh, we're actually having a baby. But once we both calmed down and we were both so excited and over the moon, and the next day I called the doctor and I was like, hey, I know we just did all this test work. I'm actually pregnant, so let's not put in those prescriptions. And I set up an appointment for my first, like ultrasound and all of that. So that is kind of how I found out I was pregnant and how I told my husband. Nothing super, super exciting, but that is part of, my pregnancy journey. So I thought I would share that here. And so now I'm gonna kind of go into what the first trimester has looked like for me so far. It has been absolutely brutal. I have hated every minute of being pregnant so far, and there's nothing to do with my baby. I love my baby so much. This baby is absolutely wanted, absolutely loved, absolutely desired, but the symptoms that I've been having have been horrible. So I actually, today is like, I'm in a streak right now of not getting sick and throwing up, but for the first, I'd say 6 to 8 weeks of being pregnant, I was throwing up every single day, very minimum 1 time a day, but up to like 18 times a day. So I was sleeping on the bathroom floor, throwing up multiple times a day. I think on average it was like 12 times a day. And I couldn't keep anything down. So we found out we were pregnant when I was 4 weeks along already. So if you didn't know how they calculate that, when you conceive your baby, you're actually already 2 weeks pregnant by the way that they calculate it. So then 2 weeks later, they call it the 2-week wait, is when, the baby's implanting. And then you usually find out you're pregnant around 4 weeks pregnant or already 1 month into it. So yes, basically from right when we found out we were pregnant up until week 8, I was so incredibly sick. I know people have morning sickness, but this was like extreme morning sickness. So I was throwing up everything. Like I couldn't keep down water, apple juice, food, nothing. Like literally nothing would stay down. So those weeks were absolutely hell. My dog's being cute. Those weeks were horrible. And I'm so glad to say that I'm finally starting to feel better. But in those weeks, the throwing up was absolutely insane. When they tell you when you get pregnant that you're gonna experience morning sickness, they kind of don't let you know that like, it's not just when you wake up in the morning, it's basically like any point during the day, multiple times a day. Like it's horrible. Some people don't have it bad, but for me, it was horrible. So I was throwing up all the time and I kind of stopped doing any of the work that I do. So if you guys are new to my channel, I'm a full-time reseller. So I do work from home. Thank God. I would not be able to hold a 9 to 5 right now. So I hadn't been doing anything work related for the past 8 weeks. I'm starting to feel better now, but the nausea has definitely made this pregnancy really hard. But besides that, I've just had really, really sore boobs still. They've been hurting since before I found out I was pregnant. They hurt to touch. I can't sleep on my side anymore without them hurting. So I actually just got a pregnancy pillow to kind of help support my body. The boob pain's hard, but I definitely would have to say between those two, the nausea was definitely the worst. I can kind of deal with boob pain. It's fine. If you don't touch them, leave them alone, they're fine. Another thing that I've been experiencing this first trimester so far is like extreme exhaustion, essentially. Like I sleep all the time. I will wake up at 10 a.m., fall asleep at 2, sleep until 5, be awake, and then go back to sleep at 8 and sleep until 10 a.m. Like I am sleeping all of the time. It's crazy how much energy it takes to grow a human. Like you would think that you would understand, okay, you're growing a baby in your stomach, it's gonna, you know, suck up all your energy, but like I am always so tired all the time. It's insane. So I feel like I sleep 18 hours a day probably. It's crazy. I can't really do much because if I'm not sleeping, I'm eating or getting sick, and it's just insane. So I've also been experiencing some headaches, which I've experienced headaches before pregnancy, but once you get pregnant, there's a lot of medications that you can't actually take. So I'm only able to take Tylenol for my headaches. However, Advil is really the only thing that helps headaches for me. So I'm unable to take Advil right now. So I just kind of have to suck it up and deal with the headaches, which has not been fun, but I can get through it. It's fine. Another thing with pregnancy is my sense of smell is insane. So I always thought that when you got pregnant, you know, your sense of smell, you know, heightens. And I just kind of thought that would mean that I would be able to smell things easier and stronger, but really it like makes everything smell horrible. So one of the biggest things for me is our refrigerator and the gas oven and stove. So when it comes to our refrigerator, it has nothing to do with anything that's inside the fridge. We don't have any expired food in there. We've cleaned it out multiple times, but just the smell of like the cold, frigid air that comes out of the fridge, like it just smells musky and gross to me. I can't stand it. I don't ever really go in the fridge. I hate when my husband opens the fridge. I cannot stand it. It makes it smell so bad, and the minute it opens, I feel like the entire apartment just stinks. That has been horrible because obviously to eat and make stuff and all of that, you have to open your fridge. And so doing that, I'm always like covering my nose and putting a Vicks Vapor Rub under my nose if I'm like needing to put away groceries or something like that, just to kind of not smell it. But that smell has been very, very hard for me to deal with. And like I was saying, the gas oven and stove has smelled horrible for me. We don't really cook in the oven anymore. It smells horrible when you have to leave it on for 40 minutes to cook something. But those are the two things that I cannot stand the smell of right now. It's just been so hard to try to deal with that and like actually make food at home and not eat out all the time. When the two biggest things you need to make food, you know, besides the food itself, is your fridge and your oven and stove. So I'm excited for that to go away. I don't know when that will go away, but I'm so sick of it. I want to be able to cook again. I love cooking, I love baking, and I can't really do that when I can't stand the smell of those things. So that has not been ideal either. So I'd have to say those are the biggest things I've been experiencing so far this first trimester. I have been bloating a bunch. I'm starting to get like a bump. At first I was just bloating a little bit and then it would go away. But right now, I wake up with a little bit of a bump. I go to bed with a bump. It doesn't really go away. So when you're pregnant, most people, their stomach starts to harden. So mine's at the very bottom where the baby is actually sitting right now. Is starting to get hard, and the top is still like squishy, but I am starting to get a little bit of a bump. I don't know if you guys will be able to really see it. It's really hard in the video. There's a little bit, but if anyone knew me before I was pregnant, I am stick thin. My stomach is completely flat. So for me to even have a little bit of anything right there, it's super, super noticeable. But this bump no longer goes away at night, or, you know, it's not just below, it's definitely turning into some sort of a baby bump, which is super, super fun for me. I've always been really excited to get that baby bump. I am only 10 weeks pregnant, so the baby is, I think, like 1.5 inches long. So it's not necessarily the baby making the bump at this point, but just everything in there stretching and growing. So I'm super excited to start being able to have a little bit of a bump. A lot of people do say that they start to feel like little flutter movements in their stomach around this point. I have not felt any of that yet, but I am so looking forward to the day that I do. I know that will put my mind at ease a little bit, because in early pregnancy, you know, I have 4 weeks between my ultrasounds. So during those 4 weeks, it's hard to like not stress out and be like, is the baby still in there? Like, is it alive? Is it good? And I know later on in pregnancy, when you can feel movements, obviously you're able to know, okay, the baby's in there kicking around, we're all good. So I am excited to have that as a little bit of a peace of mind going you know, along with pregnancy. But yes, so those are my biggest symptoms right now and things that I've been experiencing. So yeah, I'm super excited to be pregnant. Like I said, first time mom, first time being pregnant. My husband and I are over the moon about it. We are so excited to meet this little baby. We get to know the gender soon, I think. We're gonna be doing some testing here, I think this coming week or next week. That might be able to tell us the gender. So soon we will have a little name for the little baby. If it's a girl, we already have the name picked out, but if it's a boy, we have absolutely no idea on what to name it. So we will kind of get to that when we know the gender, but yes, we are so excited, and I'm excited to kind of be sharing this journey with you guys as I go through it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. My dog wants to say hi. You wanna say hi? You say hi? I'm excited to have a little baby brother or sister. Are you so excited? Yeah. You're gonna get so jealous because you're a little attention hog and you're not gonna get all the attention no more. Yeah, you too. You too. They're excited. They both like, hi. They both will lay their heads on my stomach so they can totally sense that there is a baby in there. It's really fun to have them just cuddle up with my stomach because I know that they can sense that there's a baby in there. They lay their heads on my stomach all the time, and it is so cute. So I know that they're gonna be the best little dog big sisters ever. And yeah, you're gonna love the little baby, even though you're gonna hate that you're not gonna get as much attention. Yeah. They're both huge attention hogs, so that's gonna be fun to adjust to. But yeah, so like I was saying, if you liked this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. It really supports my channel. And be sure to subscribe if you wanna see more pregnancy related content from me, or my dog, or reseller related content. That's kind of the two things that I will be putting out now here going forward. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.